again. They did. There we go. Let's give that a different color. Ghoulish. That's me. Oh, I gotta grab something. Hey, kitten. You switched the window to your other monitor and immediately went live. It's like I could sense it was time. Or maybe you were just the nudge that I needed, kitten. Beat the Twitch notification. Hey, Mittens. Hey, Leo. Birthday's not for another couple months. Sweet Kirby shirt. Thanks. I stole it from Annika. Thankfully, there's nothing on the box that doxes me. But, like... Finally! Shrink wrap. Help, please. Oh, it's shrinking around the box. This is awful. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. Hell yeah. I've been waiting 4 months for this to be here. Oh! I've been waiting so long, I had a second order in, which I'm going to cancel right now before I forget. Cancel. Okay. Yes, you can. Yes, you absolutely can, Annika. Well, I'm not gonna set this up right now, but oh, okay. It changes color. I've only ever seen people with the like blue teal. I can make mine red? Hell yeah. Oh, I need a knife. Oh. So ends the unboxing of the Go XLR. This isn't even the main reason why we're here today. I was just excited about it. But I guess we can't unbox it. I'm too tired to bring you a knife. I sorry. I actually thought, given how sweet Annika is, that half a second later the door would open and a knife would just appear. Because she's usually always like that. But she yogaed too hard, so I'll grab it. Okay. I'm just doing this while we wait for people to filter in a little bit. Oh. Yes, please. What? Oh, come on. Open. Oh. Should have brought some scissors too. Hold on. Slice. Okay. Fancy. XLR in. Optical line in for 3.5. Wow. Well, now I can use my Shure microphone. And that'll go right there at some point. Okay. So, today I'm actually going to open up Foundry and give you guys a little look at the program. Just in case you were curious about it or thinking about buying it. That kind of thing. First, give me a grand old minute here. We go there. We go there. Okay. Okay, how exactly am I gonna jump in? Also, is anybody interested in getting Foundry? Is anyone kind of looking into that or curious about it? I know a lot of people are aware of Roll20. That's been the standard for a long time. And also, did anyone bring me obscure rules or different rules from RPGs that are a little wacky? Because I'm gonna do both today. I'm going to sort of look into some wacky rules as maybe a video topic. And I'll show people FoundryVTT as well. So I'm not sure. I think maybe we can look at some rules first, just because that gives people who are interested in FoundryVTT a chance to filter in. I don't want to jump right into that and show a bunch of stuff, and then people get here and they're like, oh, it's half, half over. As well, if you have tabletop, well, not even but if you have roleplay suggestions for videos, topics, that kind of stuff, let me know. I got a bunch of ideas on a post-it board, just little brainstorming ideas, but I'm always open to steal a bunch more. Oh. Well, that'll fix itself. Kitten's got one. Not so much rule as the lack of a rule that makes things strange. Okay, hit me with it. In the interim, I'm absolutely going to weird roleplay rules. Strange Tabletop RPG rules. Hey, Led. Yeah, Advanced D&D, page 34. In addition to the common tongue, all intelligent creatures able to converse in speech use special languages particular to their alignment. These alignment languages are chaotic evil, chaotic good, chaotic neutral, etc., etc., etc. The alignment of your character will dictate which language he or she speaks, for only one alignment dialect can be used by a character. If a character changes alignment, the previous known language is no longer able to be spoken by him or her. You literally speak what alignment you are. And if you have a change of heart, suddenly half the population can't understand you. Hey, Woo. No, I haven't. Hey, Darksteel. No, that's real. That's Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. In fact, someone's asking a question about it. Like, Led just brought it up. But there's when I typed it in, because I'm just going to do that. There's literally a stack exchange on it. And somebody's asking what's the deal with alignment languages. And someone gives a detailed answer. And then in AD&D 2nd edition, the languages seem to have been silently dropped and never spoken of again. Yeah, you speak in chaos. What's Kitten got? I like that one, by the way, Led. I'm, like I said, I'm looking for, I think I'm gonna do a video on just, like, weird rules or, like, old jank, that kind of stuff, so. Kitten, I don't think there's any explicit rules in any D&D edition that I've played that factor the body shape or types or number of limbs that a creature has when calculating climbing modifiers. Which means a horse has a better chance of climbing a rope than the average human. Have a look at Magma rules. Magma rules RPG. What am I... Oh, are you just talking about, like, how D&D handles, like, lava and stuff? Or what are you talking, Leo? Hey, Rock. Okay, gotcha. Is this 5th or... This is from what? Tomb of Annihilation? Any creature that falls into lava or starts its turn there takes 55 or 10d10 fire damage. Any object that falls into the lava takes damage on initial contact and once per round thereafter until it is removed from the lava or destroyed. Not the original rules? Where is it? I would say it would be based on the improvised damage chart on page 249 of the DMG, which says you take this much damage per round. 10d10 wading through a lava stream. 18d10 being submerged in lava. And for reference and using the same chart, You take 2d10 if you stumble into a fire pit. If your hand or foot's immersed or something like that. 18d10. And then what is it? Where's the That's what happens when you swim in lava. You right. I'm looking at some other, in Shadowrun, there's rules in Run and Gun for underwater. Let's see. I don't know if I can display those short of people talking about it. Run and Gun is a splat book for Shadowrun. I'm gonna put in, what can I put in here? Obscure rule in 3.5, the endurance feat dictates that you can sleep in armor without penalty, but nowhere in the book is it ever stated that the penalty for sleeping in armor has. Yeah, isn't that errata? I love when you come across rules like that, and you have to put your game master on the spot and be like, well, I've looked everywhere. What do you think? Yeah, and then all the ways people break D&D. I assume, yeah, I can just tell by the way. Normal action, action surge, haste action, bonus action, feline agility. He can move 4,200 feet in one turn. That is so dumb. Great one is in the Psionics book. The power Deja Vu appears twice, a few pages apart. Yeah, that's an Easter egg. Not a rule, but an Easter egg. Give me stuff like that, too. I love that. That's really cool. Peasant railgun? What? D&D peasant railgun. Oh. Oh, no. But I have to go to 1D4chan. I don't know. Hey, C7. Maybe I can go to Reddit instead. And... oh, here's an imager gallery. Giant in the playground. Here we go. That can't be rules legal. What? I'm taking a look at this. Step 1, hire a ton of peasants. Let's just say that it's 2,280. Line them up in a single file. This will form a chain of peasants 2 miles long. Step 2, buy a ladder. Just buy a standard 10-foot ladder. Disassemble the ladder into a bunch of rungs and a pair of mighty 10-foot wooden poles. Hand a pole to the peasant at the back of the line. Step 3, first round of combat. Peasant at the front of the line readies an action to throw the pole at the enemy. Every peasant behind him readies an action to hand the pole to the peasant in front of him. Step 4, next round. Peasants fire off their readied actions, passing the pole 2 miles down the line and hurling it in 6 seconds or less. Pole accelerates to the speed of 1,188 miles per hour, or Mach 1.546875 in dry air at 20 degrees Celsius, at sea level on our planet. Step 5. Peasant railgun can be reloaded and fired in less than 12 seconds. No real world rules. Yeah, I guess they're all organized with their initiative. It's very silly. There's a forum in Giant in the Playground describing it. And someone says, things like the peasant railgun are generally my response to people who think the GM should never say, no, you can't do that. Which I actually do talk about in this week's video. Although I say yes and no, but stolen from improv. Literally nobody would allow that. Yeah? It was errated. Okay, it was errated, Lid. Okay. C7's got one. You shrink a bunch of cannonballs and use them as ammo for a musket pistol. But you fit an anti-magic ring to the barrel of the pistol. So when you fire, the cannonballs get unshrunk and come out as full-size cannonballs. That's so stupid! A lot of this stuff is just like, things your game master will never allow. Remember the bag of shit? No? I remember in Paranoia swapping my clone's body with Grig's clone's body and then juvenilely pooping and peeing ourselves to get back at the other guy whose body we had swapped with. But that's not really the same thing. Yeah, exactly. Mittens, you're exactly right. It's using the letter of the rules against the spirit. And, like, maybe I'll just do a video on that where it's, like, horrible players and the horrible things they came up with. God, I'm typing things in just to see, like, obscure roleplay rules, and I'm sure in one of these searches, I'm gonna come across something that I'm not allowed to click on. That's awful, Lily. Indeed. I'm not even gonna read that out loud, Lily. A torrential flood of shit. In D20 Future, there are modifiers to put on items to make them cheaper. One of them is you can make an item bigger for a discount. You can use this to get around playing a large character who can't manipulate computers. Oh. Huh. I haven't played D20 Future. That does remind me of Lancer, which is a newer game where you play in a bunch of mechs. You're pilots, you're Lancers, and you pilot mechs that are super customizable. It's like custom robo type thing. Hiccup. And you can get different modifiers. You can get different things on your mech. I have the hiccups now. You can get different things on your mech. So you can have different, like, smoke screen launchers and stuff like that. And mechs can't manipulate computers. You have to get out of your mech to do it. But you can buy a modification, which is little spindly servo arms that are like little human-sized T-Rex arms is how I think of them. Wait, did I just say human-sized T-Rex arms? That's not... Anyway, you can have little T-Rex arms so that you can hack from a mech. I don't know if it's as fancy as these other stories, but the other night, we were fighting this creature that would make us roll wisdom saves to not turn crazy when we looked at it. So my illusion wizard just phantasmal forced our damage dealer to fuck him up without dealing the frenzy. Oh, nice. Made the monster look like a giant teddy bear with the words "hit me" written on it. And since he couldn't technically see it, it didn't force the saving throw. That's clever, Rock. The bags of devouring would make perfect toilets? Ugh! But also, that would be so expensive for a toilet. Oh my god. And that's how I invented the infinite diaper. Thank you. So I typed in obscure roleplay rules, and what came up was how to play tabletop RPGs by yourself. So I feel a little bit attacked. Here's 20 of the most bizarre RPG character creation rules, so that's cool. Let's do that. Let's do bizarre RPG rules. The weirdest RPG system you know. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure came up. Great. This site has a bunch of ads on it. But I'm still looking at this. Oh, Travelers! Yeah, or Traveler. I remember Traveler. So, in Traveler, when you make a character, they're already, like, seasoned adventurers. And they can die during character creation. I'll read it. Characters in Traveler are expected to be seasoned adventurers, to the point that some versions require you to make rolls to survive your pre-game adventures. Traveler New Era had several career paths that could result in jail time, for instance. Some harsher versions could literally let you be killed before you even play, such as Mega Traveler. It's a very strange experience to lose your character before the game. You don't hear about D&D Rangers getting killed in a freak companion training incident, for example. Traveler New Era. GURPS 4th edition. GURPS allows you to take points, to gain points by taking disadvantages for your character, but some of them have some strange costs. Taking Hard of Hearing gains you 10 points, while being epileptic gains you 30. Fair enough so far, but one always bothered me. Being a full pyromaniac who could compulsively set fires at any time is only worth 5 points, the same as being overconfident or feeling a sense of duty to your friends. Apparently, GURPS writers think most people play in a way where things are being lit on fire at random. So, Dark Heresy 2nd edition, that's a Warhammer 40k roleplay. Dark Heresy is, yeah, I just said that. And thus is known for over-the-top descriptions and having the blackest sense of humor. For instance, the stab light. What is it? Well, the description is, just as the Inquisition acts as a light against soul-devouring darkness, so these small portable lamps act against the physical darkness of night. In other words, it's just a flashlight with an oddly threatening name and small amount of description text. The theme, though, of that game is to the point where people literally worship flashlights as having magical light-up powers. Like, a lot of the stuff is them thinking that machinery is magical and that they have spirits. "13H has no skills. There's a game called Rifts. It's a very old game that's been published continuously for about 25 years, refusing all the while to release a new edition. Probably the biggest, weirdest rule to a modern RPG player is the fact that character options are completely unbalanced. In the original book, you could be a mech pilot, a scientist who can tell stories about the past, a wandering hobo, or a dragon. Able to literally tear other characters apart, and usually having some magic and psionics to boot. Or just, you know, a wandering hobo. Horizon Zero Dawn has a role-playing game? What do you mean, Woo? In Shadowrun, most of the pre-generated characters have an allergy to gold. Yeah! Are you talking 5e, Led? I haven't picked up 6th edition of Shadowrun yet. I heard they trimmed a lot of the fat. Like, they tried to cut out on just how much stuff was in the Matrix and all that kind of thing. The Astral Realm. I don't think I've ever done this, but I guess in Pathfinder, you can have a tumor that serves in all ways as a regular familiar. Except it's just in your body and sleeps there. Okay. Okay, what's the weirdest RPG system you know? Weirdest rules, weirdest setting, weirdest book, etc., etc. Someone replies, I have a game called Splash that I found in a used bookstore where you play the residents of a fish tank. It's a LARP intended to be played in a swimming pool. Oh no, the game's called Prawn, not Splash. They edited it. Do I want to click on this? Oh no, it's real! And I can buy it for $7.50! Welcome to the tank. You've lived here for as long as you can remember. Of course, being a fish, your memory isn't that great. Prawn is a 2-hour live-action role-playing game played in a swimming pool for 10 to 20 players and 3 tank masters. It's a great game for a pool party. I just now realized my filters were off. Led, we'll see you after dinner. Take it easy for now. And you know a lot of stuff. Thank you for participating. Okay. It's a great game for a pool party. It's a completely standalone game and requires no other LARP product, so that's a relief. The 48-page gamebook contains a complete guide to running Prawn, including the horde, setup, shticks, character creation, and more. Player handouts and 16 detailed pre-generated character histories, and ridiculously simple runtime mechanics for a fast-paced, humorous game. Bonus special! Prawn 2 and Prawn 3 are now available for free from the Interactive Inc.'s website. These modules create new characters and settings for use with the Prawn base rules. Well, that's a thing that I now know. And now you all do too. Oh, I accidentally clicked off. I just remembered there's a regeneration spell in D&D that states it can regrow severed limbs, but I've never encountered an ability or monster that removes limbs yet. Wouldn't be surprised to find an example. It's funny to me. Okay. Yeah, I think some of this is just going to be your dungeon master being like, well, the dragon bit your arm off. This person also said they found their copy of Prawn under a copy of Kid World, another weird game. It's a dark post-apocalyptic game where most of the world's adults were killed by a plague and the survivors were blinded. Kids are unaffected, though they lose their sight slowly as they age. And the world is a brutal place full of slavery, violence, and fear. That almost just sounds like Bird Box. Low Life. The only RPG I know of where you can play a sentient snack cake in a really nasty sword and sorcery setting who talks a lot of jive. Oh, I've heard of this one. Don't Rest Your Head. Nightmare setting with weirdly elegant rules. Yeah, Don't Rest Your Head. You can't sleep. Then something clicked. This is like a madness game. Makes the Call of Cthulhu Sanity Death Spiral look like a handful of baby aspirin. See Dracula, the game of talking animal lawyers where criminal cases are decided via dance-off. That can't be real. See Dracula is a dancing role-playing game by award-winning game designers Nick Smith and Jake Richmond. Great. Play by pretending to be crazy animal lawyers who are prosecuting an important case in Animal City's highest court. It's real. How much is it? It's $1. It's got an average rating of 3.2 out of 5. Uh-oh. I keep clicking the sides. Numenon, an existential game where you play human-like bugs or bug-like humans, exploring a metaphor of a simile of reality. The resolution mechanic is checking whether dominoes connect. Some of these sound like such trips to play. Oh, Everyone is John. That one I've heard about. I think I played that at a con. I think I played that one. Yeah, where we were voices. Yes. Welcome to Everyone is John, the curious, unusual role-playing game where each player struggles with their own unique skill sets and personal obsessions. The catch? Each player is a unique voice in one man's head. Everyone is John is a fast and fun competitive role-playing game where each player assumes the identity of a voice inside the head of John, an insane man with no real identity of his own. John's actions, skills, knowledge, and goals change constantly as the voices vie for control of him by using their own finite willpower. The confused adventurers of John will follow the will of the voices, with each voice struggling to achieve their own obsessive goals before all willpower is gone and the game is over, with only one voice left as the victor. Yeah, I kind of did play like that when Snake Annika and I did the one-shot. You're right. I did do that a little bit. Being John Malkovich, the RPG. Oh, it is on Drive-Thru RPG right now. It's $6. Oh, it's also got a rating of... Oh, no. Somebody panned the hell out of this game. Oh, I guess it has a free available one-page version. Huh. Okay. I think enough people are in. What do you guys think about taking a look at Foundry? Let's do that. And let me know, based on my voice, if the music is too loud. Don't worry, I'll fix that. Okay. I think I can just do this. Oh, look at me go. Maybe I'll just have it. Hey, Duke. And yeah, you know what? I'll just do a display capture. By the way, Duke, good. I was looking at a bit of the VOD, and I saw that you had asked last night if I'm excited for anything in Tasha's, which mine should get here on Saturday. And I missed it. My bad. But two things. The group patrons. I keep looking this way because my camera used to be over there. The group patrons, I'm kind of excited for because it allows parties to sort of like get on board with just one thing. Like if you're a bunch of dragon worshippers or it just adds cohesiveness. Or, I mean, we'll see. Oh. Anyway, so it... I figure the group patrons will add a little bit of parties working together for something. And I mean, that's always good. They also did mention that there were rules in there. Not rules. There was advice on running a session 0. So I'm curious to see what Wizards put in there and what they think. So again, I think my physical copy of Tasha's should be here Saturday. And I'll give it a look. Damn, C7. All right, and the reason I had my my cam off is because I do want you guys to see... Whoops. I do want you guys to see Foundry. I want you to see Foundry in its entirety. Make sure that opens right. There we go. Play capture. Not a black... Okay, look. Foundry. Obviously, you'd purchase it first. It's 50 US bucks. And that you can get it right from their website. And when you first open it up, you're going to be met with a screen like this. Although, you obviously won't have any worlds or anything like that. If you go into configure... So, there's your game worlds where you can create, well, just like the name sounds. Oh, your screen is tiny. Yeah, don't worry about that. Your game systems, you load... Everything that you see here is basically loaded up by you. So when you first start it, you're not going to have any game worlds, any game systems, add-on modules, any of that. And Foundry's big strength is that you can add all the stuff that you care about and just totally disregard the things that you don't. And I'll show you a little bit about what I mean. So for the game systems, you can go ahead and install a system down here. And it actually comes up almost like, if any of you have used like Nexus mod managers for things like Fallout or Skyrim or stuff like that. It's basically just a page that you can, yeah, it's really nice. You can go down and you can check out, and all of these, the strength of Foundry, I think, is in how strong the community is. So the developer of Foundry is very active, very open. They've got a Discord, and there are so many people working on different systems, integrating it into Foundry. And if something you're curious about, like if you say to yourself, oh, I wonder if they have this rule set, chances are they do, or somebody's working on it. So you can scroll through, you can kind of see, you know, we've got Savage Worlds, 3.5, there's Fate, Pathfinder, 1st edition, Warhammer Fantasy 4th edition, all by various authors. And if you find something you like, oh, it's also searchable. So, you know, I mentioned Lancer earlier. Lancer. And there it is. And so then you're just going to hit install. And off it goes in the bottom. And Lancer is installed successfully. Now, there is the whole, this is active development. And, you know, we don't have a 1.0 release. It's like 0. Yeah, at the bottom, 0.7.7. So as things get developed, the systems also need to update with it sometimes, if they're major updates. But even the authors are usually on top of those things. Did Annika see her? Was there Dragon? Yeah, there's Dragon Age. Basic system for Dragon Age RPG. There you go. So I did that. And you've got Lancer in there, right? So then you can go to your game worlds. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention. If you don't see something in here, it doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't exist. This is just the more like officially unofficial list. But sometimes people independently, it's not ready yet, or they're not done what they want to sort of submit it to this page. And so down at the bottom, you've got a URL. And you can put in, if someone over the Discord, or you see someone on forums or something, say they're working on a FoundryVTT module, you can put in the link directly here and just hit install. And off it goes, even if it's not part of the list. So there's add-on modules as well. And those are basically, they're literally like it says, they're just mods to change up how Foundry works. I've got a healthy list. I mean, I don't have a huge amount, but it's the same sort of idea. If you hit install module, you'll go ahead and get all those packages. There's so many different things, helpfully organized into different categories. There's dice rolling stuff, there's actors and item sheets, there's visual effects that you can slap onto your games, automation enhancers. This one's a really big one for D&D. And Pathfinder as well, right? Things to automate combat and turn orders and conditions and downtime events and all that sort of thing. So same thing. It's all, there's 525 add-on modules that you can do as of this. And I'm sure I could put out a video on, you know, some really good ones to try. Hey, Macus Mac. I'm just giving people a tour, so I'll probably go into it a little bit, but, you know, we're not, like, building something fully. This is just a little demo to sort of show people without them having to spend the $50 to see if it's for them. Although I will say Foundry has a, I think it's a 30-day money-back guarantee. Sure. I think? Oh, maybe it's under purchase. Oh, there we go. My hope is that Foundry Virtual Tabletop will work for everyone. Should the software not work out for you, you have the ability to request a refund up to 30 days from the date of purchase. Explain why it hasn't worked and why your refund's being requested. There you go. So your config screen actually gives a bunch of stuff. I haven't, you know, done everything that I'm supposed to because I haven't been using it real time, with the exception of a couple one-shots, and I know most of you. But if you'd like, you can set an admin password in order to access this screen to begin with. You can also set a default world so that when Foundry started, if you're always going to be running like the same 5e campaign for a while or something like that, you can choose one of your worlds and it'll load right into it. You can also change where your user data is stored. I would advise that you probably should do that into just a more, I mean, by default, it is in-app data. But given the fact that that's a hidden folder that people don't generally go into all that often, as well as the fact that it gives you, it gives your user name there, you may just want to put it in, like, if you have a data drive, you can do that. Although I did find out you cannot put it in the same install folder that Foundry was a part of, because every time Foundry updates, anything in that install folder is fair game to be overwritten. So probably just best to put it in like a data, you know, d/Foundry. And then, of course, update software. It does what it says on the tin. You can also go into beta versions, alpha, which tend to be unstable. Okay, so if you go to Game Worlds, you can go ahead and create one. I've got a couple set up already, mostly just for testing. Although the one shot in the dark we've been using. Foundry, I like that. I like that dark steel. Also, one moment. I'm going to go ahead and set my Steam to Do Not Disturb. There we go. Yeah, so if you go ahead and create the world, we can make a name for it. We give it a data path. Every world gets its own data path. Worlds. You can say Dreamy World. You can choose your game system. I'll choose 5th because that's typically the most popular thing everyone knows. You can actually set the time of the next session. And then you've got a little bit of options to describe things. You can also set a background image. And that gives you a bit of an idea. So this is how Foundry sort of organizes things. That'll all be in your data path folder, right? So that's the one that was in your configuration screen. And so I've organized it so that there's also global assets. But you can sort of do it however you'd like. But Foundry has its own sort of way of organizing things. And there's core data, which is all the things Foundry needs to run, basically. You can also change your display mode if you want a thumbnail view, which is probably what most people would use. You can do tiles, do an image view, make them a little bigger. Darksteel, I really like those emotes. Isn't that a Bible movie? I don't know. Okay, so we'll go ahead and create the world. And now we've got the greatest story ever told. And we can go ahead and launch that world. So when we do that, it gives us some details. We've got our greatest story. We've got our description. If I had have set an image, this is where it would appear in the background. We've got our next session and who's playing. And then you can select a player. So by default, you've just got the game master. With no access key. So I'll go ahead and join that session. And here's where we're at. So the game starts out paused. You can press spacebar to get rid of that. In the top left, we've got all our various options for selection and for walls and lighting and everything like that. Down at the bottom, we've got a hotbar. You can set up different macros. You've also got your players and their color. And then over on the right, we've got, by default, it's a chat. But you can also, top right, click on each of the icons for different functions. You've got a combat tracker. Scenes are what Foundry calls what you would think of as like maps in Roll20. And so you can create different scenes, you know, your cities and your forests and etc. Actors are what we would think of as characters, or when you create actors, you can then put them into token form on the scenes. There's items, which, and some of this stuff, by the way, some of this will change depending on the rule set. So because we're in 5th edition, if I create an actor, we can create player characters, non-player characters, and vehicles. Whereas if I was in Lancer or Shadowrun, these would be different. It's all keyed off of the game that you're playing. The rule set that you're using. Same thing for items. See all the different things that are included in 5e. You've also got journal entries, which can be used as player handouts. And I'll go into a little more detail shortly. You've got rollable tables, so you can create different tables for different random situations, for backstories, for events. You can create loot tables. There's audio playlists. You can essentially make up your own jukebox. Play ambient music for your players. And then there's compendium packs, which is basically the magic behind how a lot of this stuff works. You'll notice that for 5e, everything's organized. So within the actors, we've got different things. There's some starter heroes. There's different monsters. All from the SRD. Class features, classes, monster features. And then you've got your game settings. And from here, there's just a bunch of options. This is something that if I were going to do, I'd probably do a video of. We probably won't go line by line. But some of the important things is permissions. You can set the different permission levels for the people in your game. So there's the game master role, the assistant game master, a trusted player, and a player who apparently isn't to be trusted. And you can go through the permissions and see what they're allowed to do. Whispering private message, browsing the file explorer, making journal entries, all that good stuff. So that's probably one of the most important ones. There's a bunch of other options dealing with animations for roll tables, light source animations, stuff that you can make it so it's less intensive. You might have players playing on a potato, so... And then you've got your system settings. Again, that will be specific to whatever it is you're playing. So, currency weight, because we're talking about Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. You can disable experience tracking. You can allow polymorphing. They've got rest variants. And then you've got your module settings. So if you had some modules enabled, that's where those settings would be found. Interestingly enough, you can enable modules per world. So you can have a world where certain modules are active for certain worlds. So Blades in the Dark, where it uses clocks, I could have the clocks module active for that. Whereas D&D, if it doesn't use it, we just leave it disabled. Is polymorph baked into the engine? I haven't played around with it, Rock, but yeah, it would seem it is. You can also go and configure players. This is actually really important because this is where you set up who's going to be playing in your game and what sort of permissions they have. So... and you can sort of give them whatever permission you'd like. You can also set a password if you want, so that people can't just be the game master suddenly. And then once you've done that, you'll have the different players. So if you were setting up a 5e game, or really anything, you'd go ahead and you'd configure your players, whatever permissions you want to give them. And then everyone's there. Everyone's got the means to join your game. So even things like scenes, which is your maps. Lots of options here. Let's do... I'm going to call it a scene just because that's the verbiage Foundry uses. So I'm trying to get into... It's hard to break my It's hard to break my habit of Roll20 stuff, but there's a bunch of different options, and I mean, it could seem a little overwhelming at first, but it's fairly intuitive. All of the things that you think it might be typically is, so or it explains it. You know, navigation name, fairly self-explanatory. Background image, you can configure the image and dimensions of the map. All of that good stuff. Who can access it, right? Is it open to all players? Is it just the GM? So typically what you do when you create a scene is you'd go to your background image, your file path there, and you would, you know, you can choose a file to upload. Or I've already got one. Your scene dimensions, if you have the exact amount of pixels it is, you can enter that in. Although I believe if you leave it blank, it'll size it to whatever the image is. You can set a background color. See this gray? You can set a background color to whatever you'd like. And you can set the grid type. So if you're grabbing assets from maybe someone's Patreon, or you just got some free assets and they give you these kinds of things, you're actually able to configure it. So the grid type can be gridless. If you're just using a base map, no grids, you can make them square. You can make them hexagonal, row or columns. And you can choose the grid size in pixels. So you can sort of scale up or down to how big something's supposed to be. You can also set the scale. So if you're playing 5e, for example, you want the distance to be 5-foot squares, versus if you're playing another game, I don't know, maybe it calls for 50-foot squares. And again, you can set the grid color and the opacity. So you can make your grid color yellow if you felt like it. Let's actually do some of this. Let's do save changes. You're changing the underlying dimensions of the scene. Great. And now we've got a scene. Great, thanks, C7. Burnout like Cordias, make it neon electric pink. Okay. And if we go back up to the scene, you'll see now it appears here with a handy little thumbnail. But if you right-click on that, you can go ahead and configure it again. And we can go back here and change things. So maybe I want square. I want the grid size to be 100, right? Maybe I do want the background color to be, oh, I don't know, some sort of weird purple. Who knows? Ah! Immediate regret. There we go. We're back to gray. So if we're back in the options, another really cool thing to help you align your grids is under grid type there where it says square, there's the little grid configuration tool. And when you do that, you can configure the background image. You can scale the background image. You can change the grid size on the fly, and you can offset it. So if you do shift and the mouse wheel, you can scale things up. And you can change your mouse size with Alt and the mouse wheel. So I could make the grid size, you know, bigger, smaller. Maybe I want it to take a long time for them to traverse this map. Maybe I want it to be fairly big. And of course, you can do it manually. And you can sort of set it to whatever you want. It'll ask you again that you're changing, because you're changing underlying things, right? So of course, if you've already set up a bunch of objects and you shift that size, things are going to change. But there are many, many options. You can do token vision. You can restrict visibility for the different tokens on the map. You can actually link journal entries and weather effects, audio playlists, and you can set the view position to what your players see. So again, the grid type, we clicked on the little config tool. If you go down to initial view position and you click on the same thing, this one will actually capture whatever current view you're at. So if your mouse, if you want them to start looking at, oh, I don't know, down at the bridge sort of over here, position it where you want, go in, and capture that current view. And it'll even capture the zoom level. So depending on how zoomed in you are, that's what your players will see when they start. So speaking of players, if you go to the actors, that's where we can go ahead and create those. So we create an actor. We'll make it a player character. I don't know. What's a good name for a player character? Someone give me a player name. Gotcha. Bob Frumbus. Again, this is based on 5e. So because we're in the 5e rule set, we get a character sheet like this. And from all of this, from here rather, it's just a matter of however that rule set takes care of their characters and stuff, right? So if I click here, that's going to be the profile picture, and it's the same thing as before. We can go ahead and find whatever token we want, wherever we want it. I'd go into global assets. I'm actually going to upload one of the tokens that I've already done. Hey, Owl. And so that token's now uploaded. We'll select it. And there we go. This is using one of the artist things. And by the way, if anyone's wondering, I use a tool called Token Stamp. So I believe if you just put Token Stamp into Google, yeah, you'll get it right away. Yeah, Token Stamp's really good. And it really is like drag and drop. So I've already done the one, but if I took my second thug and I dragged him in, for people who don't know about this tool, you can see you can kind of move it around to how you want. You can resize it. You can set a different border. Because you might have different, you might have different conventions. You might, as a DM, say, you know, your NPCs have square portraits and your PCs have circular portraits. Whatever convention you use. But you can change the tint of the border. All sorts of neat things with Token Stamp. And then once you're done, you can just go ahead and save the image. And we're back into Foundry. Go to wherever you want the asset to be, and I'd go ahead and upload it. You can pick it, and it'll change like that. We can have Bob Frumbus look however we like. I don't know. I think token 2 is a little Bob Frumbusy. And then, of course, you know, if you're creating a character, you can use the sheet. And sort of do whatever you'd like. Breaking everything in the process. And as I say, this sheet is based on 5e. It's whatever the author did. But I'll show you modules in just a moment, and you can modify how Foundry behaves by default. So if I take Bob here, and I pull him over, I wanted to show you how they're not necessarily linked. Because this took me for a little bit of a loop when I first did Foundry. And you can actually see that's the vision of the character. But let's delete him for a moment. You'll notice how he's the other guy, right? That's Bob that we changed. But we're still getting that first guy. So we'll actually go back into Bob. And if we go to his, see where it says, there's sheet and prototype token. Sheet just determines literally what he's using. So right now he's using the default 5e sheet. And if you go to prototype token is basically like the template that this works off of. So you can set when his name is displayed, who represents him, all that kind of stuff. Whether the token is linked to this data. And we want to go into the image. Because we first set this as token 1, that's what the image was set as. So we want to go in here and change it to token 2. And now it matches what we've actually put in here. And again, there's a ton of options we can go over. For larger monsters, how many grid units wide and high they are. You can scale it up and down. The position, the vision that they have. And you can set their dim vision, their bright vision, their sight angle. So you who just asked? Mittens, the vision is a circle. Is there any support for cones of vision? So we could do, I don't know, 45. And we could update that token. And see now when we drop him in, because we changed his prototype, he's the token that we want. And so now we've got a cone of vision, and everything else is sort of dim around it. You can also change the emission angle, so that would be... Let's update that. I think there's modules. I haven't played too much with the sight in terms of the cones, because usually 360 is fine. But there'll probably be a module for being able to rotate in terms of vision and that kind of stuff. I also wanted to go over some of the, I'm actually going to change him back just so that we can use... We can use and see some of the other features. So I'm going to put Bob down here for a minute. And top left, some of the different features that you can use. You can, of course, measure distance. Much like in Roll20. Oh, to pan around like I'm doing, you just hold right click and off you go. So you can put up walls, Rock, and different objects. I'll show that in just a couple of moments. But measurement controls too. There are different templates that you can use. So if you had like a cone of cold, something like that, you can template it out to see where you'd place your spell and how you'd place your spell, right? If you had a 20-foot cone, I blast him here, right? You can do the same with rays. Can you hide the rules with other players? Yeah. So if you go into the permissions, you can go ahead and see who can see cursors and who can see, yeah, you can see if you can see your players' cursors and where they're pointing and all that fun stuff. There's drawing tools. So I mean, probably as you're used to for Roll20. Text. You can configure the different drawings. There's a lot of different things that you can do. Or you can get rid of it all at once. Did your players draw a bunch of inappropriate things on your map? Clear the drawings. And then, of course, there's tiles. So the tiles, ooh, I might not have something for this, but instead of actors, which are basically like your tokens, what if you just want objects, right? So, okay, we'll use him as a tile, even though he'd probably normally be an actor. Oh. That's the thug boy. Yeah, there he is. Oh, I made him so small! But see, you can go ahead and place a tile and just sort of draw how big you want it. Set the position, set the rotation, whatever you want it to be. And then you can have the sprite. So that's what we want. Let's rotate him 45 degrees. And there we go. Now, of course, as I say, this would probably be something like trees or a table or something like that. But these are for instances where you just want it to be scenery, right? You don't want to make a rock player character. And so that's where tiles come into play. And they live underneath the player characters. Of course, you can bring them into the front or send them to the back. And I believe there are modules where you can even have them overlap the players. You can lock them in place so that you can't really accidentally... that you can't accidentally move it around. You can make them visible or invisible. So you could have like a spike trap object. Make it invisible. And if your players step over a certain tile, boop! We'll delete that. And then you've got walls, and there's all sorts of different walls you can make. You can draw regular walls, terrain walls, invisible, ethereal, doors. And, I mean, some of it is fairly obvious. Things like doors, they can open and close to create vision. But some of it's not. And so Foundry has pretty good documentation on their website for all of these guys. But essentially, if I draw a wall across the forest, very, very large, tall trees. And do you see how... I mean, that's a very basic, rudimentary thing. You'd obviously make that a little better for your games. But do you see how it blocks the vision? Until you get around that wall, and you can see what's on the other side, sort of thing. And for people who don't like the fog of war and that kind of stuff, you can disable it, but you can also... There are different add-on modules that change how fog of war works in Foundry. And then, of course, if we go back to wall controls, we can do... do like a door. See how there's only a bit of light creeping in? If we open the door, now we can see inside of it. Door's closed, can't see anything. Open, closed. And if we did, let's do... right? So you can set doors such that... Ah! Ah! Is there a way to set it so players share vision? There is. Oh, I don't have it off the top of my head. Where is... Oh, it might be in the, Nope. Okay, let's go take a look. So the good part, too, about Foundry is it's such an active community. Ah! Where is my... Good old Reddit, right? I may have to... I'm not sure. I may have to have a player... in here. There we go. Bigger permissions. Bob Frumbus and Nemero does some of my favorite characters so far. It's the greatest story ever told. Now, of course, I'd have to have another player in here. Or run 2 instances of Foundry. But if you right-click on the character and you configure permissions, you can set it so that the players, and maybe I should give that a better name. Let's, there we go. Perfect. So if you're in the actors, for this guy here, who has control of him, Bobula. Well, let's say Woostiver has control, and Bobula can just observe. And then you can save it. And then same thing for Bob. Configure the permissions. Bobula's the owner, and Woo can observe. And so you can set up who has the rights to look at different things. Can Foundry handle a third dimension? So there are people that have done isometric stuff in Foundry. So if I go back... Isometric Foundry. There are... I'm not sure if I hit... Yeah. This is in Foundry. This is how crazy you can get with this. So that's somebody using Foundry, isometric, and animated backgrounds. And they've left links to things. Their Patreon, tokens by Isometric Worlds. And that's, I mean, it's so cool what people have done in Foundry. The capabilities of this program. I'm showing you like the most basic of the basics, right? But I mean, all the crazy things people can do with this thing. So lighting controls. So you can indeed set up different light sources, and you see me dragging. I'm not sure how terribly visible it is, but do you see the brightness and then the dim light and the little circle? So you can go in there, double click on it. You can configure that. The bright light radius and the dim light radius, right? So a dim light radius, 15 grids. Bright light is maybe out to 7. The color intensity you can set. You can see if it has an animation type. Torches, chroma, swirling fog. I'll put it against this background here. And in fact, what I'll do is, let's transition this map to darkness. Right? And so we can set a few light sources. See how that one's bumped up against my wall? We can make that a torch. And of course, you know, then you would put a torch object here and you would set the light source for it, right? Sunburst. Ghostly light. You can do all sorts of neat and interesting things. You can set the intensity of some of that. Oh, that's gonna mess me up. No, not that one. You can reset the fog of war. Rock. To answer your question, click, copy data, and paste. Paste. And you'll notice it followed my mouse. And we'll clear the lights. And there we go. We can also have ambient sounds. Let's go to daytime for a minute. Nothing to see there, folks. Okay, so we're actually just going to go... And this is in the ambient sounds here. And I've created that. And we'll do an effect radius, right? So, of course, Bob Frumbus is just walking along when suddenly... Yeah, there's proximity sound control. And people with add-on modules have done more with this. But boss music is a thing. Going over the bridge into some spooky woods is a thing. You can also set it so that it adjusts the volume level as they move closer. You can set the maximum volume of everything in an area, right? So again, let's get him out of there for a minute. right? So we could go, we could say, I don't know. Let's make it 50, right? And let's have volume easing. So it's gonna get louder or quieter as you go. And then you can leave the area. Tree is playing chill lo-fi guitar music. I haven't played too much with the walls and doors affecting sound proximity. I know that the ambient sound stuff is a little bit rudimentary right now. Like, it's a little bit basic. Because, like, I don't think you can set them as one-time effects. You can with add-on modules. The use case I was thinking of was for, like, a trap again, right? So if you set up a trap, I was thinking, okay, what if you have a spike trap where it just whoosh, you know, and you play a sound effect, but it'll play on a loop, right? And so there are add-on mods that you can use to make this do what you want. But, I mean, the most simple, basic form of this is built right in. I believe, see how the ambient sound? Yeah, see how there's a wall there? So it is right from the start. Okay, I'm on this side of it, and I'm gonna get on the other side of it for the wall. And again, they've thought of doing that, but it's not as if you can set the wall, maybe with an add-on module, but it's not as if you could set the wall to, like, you know, paper thin wall versus concrete or something like that. Yes, this is absolutely Stream Beats, Leo. Because it's copyright free and I could just dump it into this program. Harris is awesome. Yeah, and like I say, there could be modules that would allow you to do that, Rock. I just haven't played with that too terribly much, right? But speaking of modules, well, first of all, let's do... So, of course, there's items that we can do. You know, we can create weapons, different properties, attack types, right? This is all for 5e. Whatever you want. You can create journal entries. And it is pretty, you know, you can have it be... Oh, I'm so sorry, Owl. Oh, never mind. I don't know. Do we have any bears here? There we go. But yeah, it's got text options. You can have images. In fact, you can even... So let's save that. You can even have text or an image. And when you have an image, you can set that up. I think I've got... Let me do... Fancy fuck. Oh, let me see here. Whatever, it doesn't even matter. Maybe this guy's giving you the quest. And so this journal entry has both an image and text, right? And then from there, I mean, I don't have a player right now, but if you had a player, you can click the show players, and that'll bring this right up to them. Again, if you're used to Roll20, how you can do with handouts. You can also put a journal entry right on the map. You can give it a text label. You can give it an icon. You can give it a size. All that stuff. You can see where the text is, top, bottom, left, right. If you double right click on this, you can change the properties again, right? So maybe we're like, oh, that font size is a little big. And update it. Oh, now we've gone too small. Right? You can change the text color, all that kind of stuff. And when your players stumble on it, you can open it up. You can also have notes on, you know, and then you can go back to your scene. We can have weather effects. Listen, Darksteel and C7. Can you set an aged paper background and write on it that way? I think that would be an add-on module. I think for this one, it's just a basic text editor. I mean, you can add an image. So if you had an image of text like that ready to go, or just set it as the image, and then show it to your players, you could do it that way. But there's a lot of different things that you can do. And these are just the basic ones that come baked into Foundry, right? You can do rollable tables. And you can grab things from the compendium. You can make things items. Just some basic text. Oh, I didn't make them result types. can I do? I haven't played this with this too much. So that's a very super basic example. Let's do it with 2. And there are whole modules that people have done for tables where you can like randomly generate monsters and all that kind of stuff. You can just make it for yourself. I mean, you're the game master, so you're going to see everything. You can give these. Admittedly, tables aren't something I've played around with too much because it's like random generated stuff. And we weren't doing much of that in Blades. And then, of course, you've got your audio playlist. So, again, this is really basic. There are people who have created better versions of this. But you can create a playlist. You can choose shuffle, sequential, whatever you want. I don't know if I have another... Hold on a moment. Let me see if I've got another thing. Oh, well, why don't we just do this? Hold on. It's like I'm getting ready to roleplay an SMR video. So yeah, you can have whole, like, playlists.
With every subscription, I only grow stronger! Thanks, though.
And of course, you can queue things up, right?
With every subscription, I only grow stronger!
And you can get rid of them just as easily. You can trash whole playlists. When will you GM this adventure on the snowy, lo-fi forest of instant painful death? Yeah! There's my one shot. So I mentioned before that there was add-on modules, right? So again, this is what makes it really powerful. If you go into manage modules, I can turn on things that we don't necessarily have. So built in right now, Foundry doesn't really have a system for pings. And if you come from Roll20, you're probably used to, if you hold down the left click, you can ping other players. So I've grabbed a module, literally called pings. I can activate it for this. It'll reload. And now, even though Foundry doesn't allow me to do this base, someone's created it. I can hold left click. And there we go. That's just something someone came up with. And this is where, if you go into the settings, I was saying before about, like, if we go into configure settings and module settings, now we've got a bunch of options for the pings module, right? Where it's like, okay, do you want the ping to be a different image? How big should it be? How long should the ping be shown for? You know, should it rotate, or do you just want it to stay static? Like, all of these options just for that module. Dungeon Draft, which some of you use to create maps. There's an importer for that, so it'll pull in all of your Dungeon Draft files. There's FX Master, tons of different effects that you can do there. Permission Viewer to see which players you've given permission of which tokens to, so you can see that at a glance. There's the select tool everywhere. A lot of the ones that I grabbed were just like little quality of life ones. So the select tool everywhere, right? Where no matter where I go, measurement, you know, objects, drawings, whatever, there's always going to be a select tool. It's just a little quality of life. And if some of these are popular enough, the developer for Foundry will just integrate it. There's been several modules that are now, they're no longer in active development because they integrated it into the main program. They were like, wow, that's a great idea. And then others that might be more special use cases, specific to different games or things like that. But it really is easy, and it really is as simple as finding a module you want, putting it in, and then activating it. So we can go back out to our setup. We can just, I don't know, go find one. 5e. Dark Vision. Sky's alternate 5e character sheet. Okay. Let's grab that. And go back into the greatest story ever told. Some of these, like if it doesn't work right away, some of these you need to go to the module page and there's usually some instructions for it. But even on the Foundry site, it's all right here. There's add-on modules. And typically that'll show you how to use the thing you're looking for, right? So this isn't exactly what we're using right now, but if we save that, you can see already that my module here for permission viewer shows which players have what access in symbol form. And then for the sheet, you can have the default, or you can go to the alternative sheet. I don't know exactly, Rock. I haven't run or played anything 5e in terms of just 5e in general. I've just run the Blades in the Dark stuff and played around a little bit with Shadowrun. I'm not sure if Snake will be running his 5e campaign in Foundry. But again, if there's something where you don't like the inventory, you can sort of check if there's a module to make it how you want it. I would literally just go in here and put, I don't know, inventory. This module allows you to create custom inventory categories and sort items into them and the default categories. Automatically sorts all items alphabetically. I don't know. Grab inventory plus, sure. Hey, Led, no, we're doing a little tour of 5e. And yeah, that's the thing, Rock. A lot of this stuff, you know, you're like, oh, I wonder if this, and then you type it in, and you're like, oh, that's exactly what I want. And you just install it. Great. Go back into whatever you're working on. And you kind of put it in. What was the name of the ones that we had? Inventory Plus was one. Tidy 5e sheet. There, those are activated now. And we'll go back into Bob Frumbus, the Chumbawumbus, and we'll give him the tidy 5e sheet. And look at that. We'll go, I don't know. Yeah, it really is as much as you do it, Darksteel. Like, there are people I've seen with module lists a mile long, where there's tiny little quality of life things, or things where they're like, well, this isn't something I need, but it's cool. Like, there's one thing, Dice So Nice. And it allows for, like, certain 3D dice rolls. Because by default, you can just, there's public rolls, private rolls, blind rolls, etc. But by default, you can just roll 1d6. Roll 1d20 plus 3. And it'll give you, you can break it down. It'll give you just what you rolled. You rolled a 12. But you can say, okay, I rolled a 9, and I got plus 3. The modules and the people who work on them, in my opinion, are just like the most powerful thing about this. The dev being active, listening to the people who use the program is really nice. And then on top of that, just having people so involved in wanting to make really good community-supported modules, I think are what makes Foundry a winner and really powerful. So yeah, some of this isn't even, you know, it's not required. But it certainly is nice. There we go. Not required at all to play the game. Pretty cool, though. So, see, I keep catching different people going, oh, depending on what I show. And I mean, that's the strength of it. You can make Foundry into whatever it is you want it to be. You can make it into a giant cube with numbers on it that suddenly falls from the sky, rolls, and lands in the field in front of you, crushing a small squirrel in its midst. I think that's mostly what I wanted to show people. Some of the stuff is like in play. You know, you can create encounters. You can create combat encounters. You can track certain resources. You know, you can have different combat rounds. Next round, next turn, all that kind of stuff. But it is better if there's multiple, you know, players and things to show you. Honestly, you'd probably just re-roll it, Darksteel. I don't know if there's like a like if you can, there may be a module for that, but base Foundry, I don't think there's a way to like grab the 12 out of here. You know what I mean? You'd probably just go. There, now it's a 19. And of course, you can wipe out the chat too. If it's cluttered, you can wipe it out all at once. You can export the chat log if it's some really good roleplay you want to save. Oh, there may be for, again, I haven't played a lot of, well, I haven't played any 5e in Foundry, but there might be like, yeah, so it does allow for syntax like, you know, roll 46, keep the highest. You know, I guess a better thing would probably be roll 46, keep 3, right? And yeah, you could in fact do so macros, so and now that it's on the macro, you don't ever have to type it again. In fact, you can just use, you can click on it, or you can use the number. I guess Dice So Nice keeps the dice on screen for a little bit. But yeah, if you were generating character stats, I mean, that's not great, but can I mash it and see what happens? Oh, you want this to crash? Okay. Apparently my computer's not bad, so. Let's see. I'll play around with something I haven't really played around with. Ah, yes. Effect controls. Here we go. What do we got here? Special effects. Oh, I love special effects. Oh, good. Smoke bomb. Oh, hell yeah.
My goo is slow, but it's powerful.
We've got weather controls. Oh, maybe I should shut off the weather here. So this is just an effects module. So remember when I said, you know, here built in, Foundry only had 3, right? It only had 3 built-in weather effects. But with the FX module, you can put in your own. You can do embers. No, I haven't set up the Go XLR. It just got here before I went live. So I'll have it set up probably tomorrow. Probably. Ah, yes. I love crows flying around in the embers. Look at them crows go. Oh, there he is. You can have an underwater filter. The predator filter. I mean, that'd probably be good for like CCTV cameras and stuff. Sci-fi. Old film. A bloom filter. Thanks, I hate it. But anyway, that's just one module. And I mean, this one even, like, you can import custom effects and everything too, right? So that's pretty cool. But anyway, that's just a first little look for you guys. I wanted to show you some of the capabilities of this program and why I like it so much. I mean, it is something that I'll be using going forward whenever possible. Certainly if I've got friends and they're gonna roll, play something in like Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds or whatever, yeah, I'll play, no problem. But if someone is running something in Foundry, I'm there. If I'm running something, it'll probably be going forward be in Foundry. So it's just a really powerful program with a fantastic community behind it. I do hope you guys enjoyed. I'm gonna go back to... Oh God, you can all see me again. Good thing I put my shirt back on. Okay. So one of the... What am I doing here? One of the last things that I wanted to do... Let me just set this up real quick. Also, what did you guys all think? I changed angles because now that I'm doing the YouTube videos as well, I needed to have a space where I could record those, as well as a space that I could stream. I mean, it's a small room, so it's about the same space. So I put, you know, my monitors are here. My camera used to be here, but I moved my cables over and everything. And so now I've got the camera here, and I've got a second setup just over here. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm trying to get to 100 subs on YouTube so that I can set my own custom URL. I think it's 100 subs you need for that. Where instead of my YouTube link being youtube.com/ I can actually make it some sort of coherent thing. Yeah, and so here's another couple things about Foundry. First of all, it's $50 US once, okay? You can, there's of course partner services that have sprung up around it that have partnered with FoundryVTT. And they will host a server for you because you can host it standalone. You can host it standalone and people can join off of you. So that's all you need. I mean, good internet connection, and you might need to do a bit of port forwarding, but you can invite friends to just play in your games, and only the DM needs to buy it. So $50 once, or people can chip in for someone to do it if you've got a GM who's like, that's your normal GM. And then everyone else who used it, they go to a web address. You're gonna give them an IP address or a port forward address, or if you have your own domain, it can be hosted, whatever you want. And you can have people join off of that. So only one person needs to actually own the program. And if you don't want to deal with port forwarding, or if you want the server to be up all the time, even when you're not on, that kind of stuff, like I said, Foundry has partnered with different services, and they'll host a server for you. I think it's like $5 a month, up to 12 or 15 a month, depending on how much storage space you want for all your assets and everything. Hey, Fedoran. It was the greatest story ever told. That's right. But anyway, that's why I like Foundry. It's just it's not a big barrier to entry. It's not something that you have to pay monthly over and over and over again. Let me set something up. Oops. I made it so everyone could buy 2 tickets. Whatever. Get 2 tickets if you want in on this. I mean, I don't super use channel points. Also, I think oh, no, you're in. You guys are in. I see you guys. Annika, what hell? Yeah, I'm gonna give away a copy of Foundry. Okay, if Annika wins, she doesn't actually win. I'll just get her one later. So anyone who wants into that giveaway, I don't know. I'll keep it open for another few minutes. I will ask the question as we sort of wait to see if anybody else wants to filter into it. Maybe, yeah, what kind of things do you guys want to see? I think I've said before, you know, now I'm doing the YouTube videos about roleplay, about tabletop stuff, all that kind of thing. Is there anything in particular you'd like to see? Is there any topics you can think of that would be of particular interest to you? Something you'd like me to cover? That kind of stuff. And I realize I'm springing this on you. Yeah, if it's not off the top of your head, no worries. I just figured I'd ask while people are getting in on this contest. I'm also going to write these things down. Monster encounter design. Cool. Yeah, Rock, this next video that's coming out on Thursday is going to be 5 tips for new game masters starting their first campaign. Just little things that, just various bits of advice that I could think of. But no, that's cool. I mean, even ideas for like playlists or series, right? Why 5? Because there can always be more in the future. Gotta do 7 to get those clicks? Is that a lucky number? Why 7? Is that just what everyone tends to do? I don't actually know. But yeah, I was thinking of weird numbers. Okay. I was just thinking of things, you know, like maybe like a 5e playlist where it's specific to like 5th edition as I start playing more, things that I notice or things that I get into. I was thinking of doing a series called Foundry in 5 where it's literally just like 5-minute videos, little bite-sized chunks of how to learn Foundry or showing a specific module or how to do something. And that way they're not big, you know, like here's a 1-hour video on Foundry and everything about it, right? Because it's like hold people's attention, or maybe you only need one specific thing, right? So if you only need one specific thing, people going, 30 minutes in, there it is, you know? I could just do little smaller videos and then you can specifically go to the ones you want in the playlist, right? Something like that. I could do videos looking at different systems, or anyway. Yeah, I want to find the balance, Mittens, right? Because, like, you're right in the sense that, like, the YouTube algorithm's going to pick up things that you do, and if you do the right things, you know, there is search engine optimization and stuff for that. But I mean, like, I also just want to do what I want to do, you know? I want to be able to put out the videos that I'm excited about, and that's why I've got a document of just like a bunch of brainstorm topics, things that I could do. I ask you guys, that kind of thing. And by doing that, you know, yes, obviously we're going to have thumbnails with arrows going everywhere. No, we're gonna have things where I'm gonna put the tags in, you know, roleplay tips, advice, etc., etc. But I also want them to be videos that I'm excited about doing, right? Not things that are just gonna always feed the machine. So it definitely is a balance. first impressions of X system. I like that. I like that. It requires, other than just me reading it, it'd be cool if I could play it after. So I'd need people that like, that was either running the system, or I guess I could just run them. But it'd be cool to read about it a little and then go into one. Or yeah, I could just grab the various systems and sort of go through the books or the rule sets. Character creation tips. Yeah, see, so for example, depending on whether we're talking about mechanical or roleplay, that could be different, right? Because I could do 5 tips on character creation that are from a very rules agnostic sort of roleplay systems type thing, right? Like things to think about when you're making backstories. Or I could do a very specific, crunchy, you know, 5 tips on 5e characters. Hey, Justice. One shot, one review system. Yeah, that'd be cool. Or a one shot, one review system. 5 reasons you don't play Druid. How to not get lost in details when creating your world or adventure, knowing full well that players are going to ignore most of it and run off on a totally unexpected tangent anyway. Okay. I think mostly everyone who's gonna be in is in. So I'm gonna put that up. How do I do this? I did it. Hey, Darksteel. There you go. You had an emote ready to go for that. Congratulations, Darksteel. So, fun fact, this one doesn't actually make the sound. So I have to make the sound every time. Yeah, you can absolutely buy ones that do. This isn't one of those. Yeah, I just scream into the little tube. Yeah. Darksteel, are you on Discord or just like find me on Discord or something? Or even just email. If you're not on Discord, I can give you my email. Anyway, just some way for me to get the key to you. One minute. Okay, cool. I'm gonna mark that as complete. There we go. Use it rarely. I gotcha. Okay. I think that's mostly it, everyone. I wanted to, yeah, hit me with it, Led. this stream was a little bit shorter today, but that's okay. I wanted to run through the different systems with you guys, just see kind of what you'd give me and kind of hang out a little bit like that, right? Because I want to grab people that are also passionate about roleplay stuff, tabletop stuff, and I wanted to do a bit of a walkthrough on FoundryVTT. I really like it. Think you should too if you're into tabletop roleplay. And that's kind of everything I wanted to accomplish tonight. I do have to do... You sent me a Discord DM? Okay, cool. Thanks, Darksteel. I will hit you up after. I do need to do some reshoots because I was a big dingus and messed up my intro. Actually, I messed it up twice. I had my ring light way too bright and I was all washed out. I recorded an hour-long thing, raw. I gave so many different cuts and I was like, there, I'm sure we can edit together a 6-minute video based on that hour footage. And it was all garbled and washed out and terrible. And I was like, Only War of the 40k Imperial RPG. Everyone has a battle buddy NPC so that a player character doesn't have to be your ammo bitch. There's a specialist, the commissar. At the cost of him killing your battle buddy, you heal wounds. Oh, wow. That's harsh. Time to record another hour. It was like 39 minutes. Yeah, that does sound like 40k. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna go off. I'm going to do that reshoot. I would play some Spider-Man. I'm itching to play a bit of Spider-Man. And I actually booted it up this morning, not to do any missions or anything, because I'm gonna do those with you guys. But I was literally just zipping around the city while I had my coffee. So I will play Spider-Man probably next week on Monday. And until then, tomorrow, Snake and I are going to get up to some shenanigans. I don't know exactly what yet. And we'll pick this back up on Monday. And I can be your friendly neighborhood web slinger. But for now, thanks for demoing that with me. It was a lot of fun. It was nice going through and showing you guys. I had to prank Snake with the Go XLR. Yeah, I'll work on that. I don't know how, but I'll work on it. Oh yeah, I can make Snake hear the goo! Maybe, I think. All right, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow with them, okay? Have a good evening, and I will see you then. Good night, and good yurt.